All right, welcome back, everybody. You are looking live at a splendid, spectacular setting. We're here at the North Law Firm, their new digs. We'll learn all about that. It's one of America's great law firms, and we're joined by the heads of the corporation, the Senator of Dunbar, Attorney Joe North, and the junior senator, Attorney Joseph North Jr., who are both joining us. Let's bump you in.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It's just a thrill to be here. And if I'm not mistaken, there are no other television talk shows here locally, but certainly we're the first TV show to be in the North Law Firm.
That's right. How appropriate.
Thanks for the privilege. Membership has its privileges, Joseph.
Sure, it absolutely does. Yeah, sure.
Let me just share this, like walking in and all the guests who've been able to come in here, a black-owned law firm, a black-owned company, high-rise building. If I'm not mistaken, it might be about 8 floors here. How many you got?
Well, actually 5 floors, and we occupy the entire 3rd floor, which is about 10,000 square feet.
Okay. Well, let me pontificate for a second, and we'll get into all of that. Just coming in and feeling like like something out of a movie. I mean, I remember Joe. I'm blessed to be able to share this information. I remember you in your first office that I recall right there on Bay Street. That was that First Street. I used to come over there every now and then and bring you some handwritten documents. That was before, that was before Word document, that was before email. And I used to come over there and he'd give me a little manila folder and I'd give him something with a hardcore. I was up the street at the bank. And that's how far back the technology has brought us. And now to see that all that worked out for you. You were right there on the water. You had like maybe a little stall there. Mm-hmm. Everything is worked out for you. And now you're in here with even some extra office space. So that gives me the impression that you may also be continuing to grow. Am I correct on that?
You are absolutely correct. We are growing as a firm. And it's all because our community has embraced us and allowed us to represent them and all the many families. And in turn, we want to be able to provide them as best service as we can. So as we grow, we're helping the community more and more.
Mm-hmm. Joseph, when you see this growth, you saw your dad doing work early on. You were a little peak squeak running around. Did you, in your mind's eye, ever envision this level of growth and to see yourself in the capacity that you're in right now?
You know, I never doubted that it was possible, but I can't say I really saw it as far as just the visual of it all. So that's why it's really special to see it happen in real time, and even to see just the words "the North Law Firm" at the top of the building. That certainly means a lot.
And even me personally, when I see it up there, I feel like I made progress in life. And what I mean by that is, I don't get excited about much anymore. I've seen a lot of things, but because Joe is Joe is a friend of mine, and I'm so happy for the success of my good friend Joe. So when I see that up there, when I came in last night, and I want people to know I came in last night, and Joseph was here working. He wants to outwork everybody. Like, what are you talking about? I'm always here late. And then, of course, Joe is here early in the morning, too. So I know the work ethic of you guys, and I want people to understand that nothing happens without putting in the work. People see the glamorous part. They see you on the billboard. They see you on the buses. They see you on Lee Pitts Live and everywhere else. Speak to that, Joe. The work is, you have to put in that work before you can expect to be successful.
That's absolutely true, and that's something that you and I talk about all the time. Like with your son, Brandon, we tell him, who I call my nephew, by the way,
right,
keep chopping wood. Never get complacent. Keep working, because the best is yet to come. And without that work, you don't know how far your opportunities can really take you. So we sometimes see the end of the movie, but we don't know what will happen at the beginning of the movie to get there. And it's a lot of work at the beginning and the middle of the movie.
And that work, Joseph, that Joe talks about, Attorney Joe, that work benefits the clients. Go.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the reasons that we're able to, work so hard and it does benefit the clients is that we actually love what we do.
Yeah.
And so even though technical work hours might be 8:30 to 4:30, it might be 6 p.m. on a Saturday and my dad and I are hanging out, but we're still talking about the cases and clients because we truly take pride in it and we love what we do. And so from the work to this new office, it all benefits the client at the end of the day because it makes sure that they're getting the premier legal representation that they deserve.
The image that this office sends to people, Joe, when they come here for legal services, that is powerful when they know that a firm is this successful. That means that they have been doing things right. Let me expound on that. You can't become this successful unless you're winning cases. You're successful at what you do. And that means that these are great companies at the end of the day. Go.
You are 100% correct. What we have today represents more than 30 years of hard work. You don't just show up one day and have an office like this or the staff that we have. But again, it goes back to our community, because our community has embraced us and allowed us to represent them for decades. So what we want is, when clients come here, we want them to see that they are at a superior law firm, the best in the business, and our office speaks to that. We want them to know that they are well represented, and when they look around, they know that they are, because it reeks of success.
Right, and I know it's hard for you to even talk about success, but in this particular case, I have to draw it out of you, the humbleness, the all about the community. That's why I dubbed you the Senator of Dunbar. When you never sit down in that chair also without knowing that what you are able to achieve also benefits the community that you are most passionate about, that you grew up in. A native son here in the Dunbar community who's gone on to be successful.
That's right. And if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. It's the circle. You know, I, you, Joseph, Benita, our firm, we are in a circle with the community. The community supports us, and we in turn give back to the community, because we know that us keeping the community strong, the community keeps us strong. And we benefit one another in so many different ways.
Joseph, the passion, the commitment to community, particularly to the Dunbar community, East Fort Myers area that has been so beneficial to the North Law Firm. Do you feel that blood flowing through you, and you saw that at a young age?
Absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of times it's a trust thing. And so the way we give that back is, you know, every time we represent a client, especially from the Dunbar community, we want to make sure that we foster a personal relationship with them. And that's why I tell all my clients that I know you reached out to us and hired us, but at the end of the day, you, my client, you're my boss. And so while we handle the day-to-day litigating, I tell them half my job is to make sure you get the best legal representation, but the other half is to make sure that this whole process is as stress-free for you as possible. Because, you know, they have a million things going on in their lives, and this shouldn't be a stressor. It should be a de-stressor for them.
I want to add to this is that certainly the North Law Firm handles cases here in Dunbar and all around the country for that matter. However, if you are in the Dunbar community, and Dunbar community expands out to East Fort Myers and all that, I'll let Joe kind of give what he considers like his main footprint. All your cases, legal cases, should start off with the North Law Firm and negligent security, accident and negligent security. But the firm also has expounded to doing other things, and constantly they can put you in the right place and put you with the right place to get whatever type of legal services you need done. I'm going to turn that over to you, Senator.
Yes, so we do have a primary focus on the personal injury cases, like car accident cases, and the negligent security cases. But what we have found over the years is that our clients need us for a lot of other types of law. So recognizing that, we have decided to become a full-service firm representing clients in a lot of different areas. And one that comes to mind is family law, whether it be someone needing help with a divorce or custody or dependency. We have taken the initiative to hire another lawyer, her name is Natasha Lormel, to handle family law cases, because when clients call us and they need help in that area, we want them to stay right here and let us help them. And we've got somebody on board now to do that.
Joseph, what is family law?
Family law, just as you just heard, it's anything involving families. So that could be divorce, it could be any sort of agreement in that respect. It can be anything having to do with child support and things of that nature. It's full service firm, but also full service as it pertains to family law. And in addition to that, we also handle civil rights cases as well. And so civil rights itself is a large umbrella that encompasses all different sorts of cases. So it can be anything from someone who's been bullied based upon the color of their skin to someone who's had an unfair or excessive force interaction with the police. So we're truly taking the full service firm approach to heart.
And we're still on top of the hurricane situation.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. The hurricane property damage cases, we still handle those, and we will continue to do so. And although you might think that because we're, over
A year
removed from Hurricane Ian, that maybe the cases have stopped or slowed down, but judges are still handling those cases, and we're still getting new ones because some people have realized, they can't necessarily do it on their own with their insurance company, or they were trying to give the insurance company a benefit of the doubt, and now they need our involvement.
Joseph, I'm so glad that you said that because I want to bring to bear, and that's why I'm going to spend this whole show on the North Law Firm, is to bring to bear that people have to understand that it takes time and it could be a longer process than people realize. These things don't just happen overnight. Solving cases, getting cases, and having problems with your insurance company that you thought were going to be taken care of, and you're looking at this and saying, this ain't right. They can still pick up that phone and call the North Law Firm on that or any other cases that they feel comfortable calling on.
Absolutely. You should never feel like it's too late to reach out to the North Law Firm.
Okay.
Because when you reach out to us, we'll do all of our due diligence to do everything we can to make sure that your case is still live and we're able to litigate it and fight for you. Mm-hmm. And if by chance you did miss a deadline or something like that, we'll tell you that news. But the point is, you don't want to just assume that you've missed the deadline or it's too late and then lose out on compensation or justice that you might be entitled to.
And to piggyback on something that Joseph just said, oftentimes we'll get calls from people who already have a lawyer, but they don't believe that that lawyer is fairly representing them. Mm-hmm. And they want to know, is it too late to change lawyers? And we always tell them, no. If you're not happy with your lawyer, you need to change, because having a lawyer is like having a doctor. It's got to be somebody that you feel comfortable in and have confidence in. And the good news is it doesn't cost the client any more to change lawyers. Mm-hmm. They still pay just the one fee, and that is only when there's a recovery.
Now, attorney, you told me one time, I know you don't remember everything that you tell me, and you say, Lee, you got this memory like something.
That's why I take notes.
Right.
Go ahead.
But you said to me, and every time I'm talking to you, and people, y'all might need to know that Joe and I, we don't go, 2 or 3 days without communicating one way or another. But you said, we find a case within a case. Like when we get a call, we're trying to find out how to make it a case, as opposed to just moving it off the table. We don't handle that. There's no case there. You don't move like this big corporation that doesn't have time for the little man. Go.
That's right. We keep our creative hats on because there are a lot of times that cases are tough. And there's some law firms who will tell a client, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But at our firm, we find a way to get justice for our clients. You got to be creative in how you approach these claims and these lawsuits, and we're very good at that. Mm-hmm.
That creativity, that whole thing, Joseph North Jr., the junior senator, comes from all those years of experience that this firm has.
Absolutely. And I always tell our clients that we handle cases as a team. Of course, your attorney is the forefront person, one of the 4 attorneys we have, but every client, in addition to having a direct attorney, usually they have another 2 or 3 attorneys who are supporting that first attorney, and an office manager, a case manager, receptionists and legal receptionists who are going to answer the phone. So we all collaborate together to make sure that we're going to find a case, and also we're going to be as responsive as possible. And that way the client can stay up to date on everything that's going on with his or her case.
I was talking about that. And I was shocked when I had you some months ago, Joseph North, the senator of Dunbar, attorney, on the show, and you were going through like the staff. I was like, man, I was just thinking there's maybe 2 or 3 people there. It's not. It's just some manpower here, isn't it?
It is. So, and we believe that everyone is dedicated to the case here. Okay, so whether you're talking about one of the 4 attorneys here, or the case managers that we have, or the receptionists, or the legal assistants, the file clerk, we've got private investigators. We've got a team, and that team is working on each case because we take the team approach. But yes, it's not just one person or 2 people, it's an entire team. And right now we're at about 15,
wow.
and we'll be growing.
Man, Do you have a vision in your head, like the amount of total, when you say you'll be growing, people out there like, hey, maybe there's a job there for me. What kind of skills do they need?
Be creative.
What are you looking
Something
for
that we were
right
just
now?
talking about. Someone who's creative, who wants to find a way to help someone rather than trying to find a way not to help somebody. So being creative and supporting the person and not the company, that's what we look for more than anything else.
Joseph, after an accident, you guys are great in the courtroom as well. You have a reputation of being great in the courtroom. Some cases are settled out of court, some are go to court. I'm going to get into your legal mind. Like, how does it determine whether, let's say if somebody say they selling out of court, is that a negative or a positive?
It's certainly not a negative.
Okay.
And whether it's in court or out of court, basically we don't recommend a client settle if the insurance company is not offering a fair and reasonable amount. And so sometimes when the insurance company sees that we're representing a client, the insurance company is more inclined to say, let's get this resolved out of court because we know that the North Law Firm will take it all the way to trial and they'll beat us. In which case we're able to get a fair and great settlement for a client out of court. Sometimes insurance companies want to get stubborn, and that's when we take the long road and we have the 18 months of litigation and we win that verdict before a jury. But I wouldn't say there should be a connotation one way or the other. It's just about doing what's fair and best for the client.
If I'm in an accident and an insurance company offers me like, say, $500,000, that might be under. That I might be still getting under. I'm ready to take this $50,000 or this $500,000.
I can tell you that if you're in an accident and an insurance company offers you $500,000, that probably means you have $1 million case you're sitting on.
Really?
Yes.
They always lowball you.
That's what they do best. And that's why I always recommend if you get into an accident or you need an attorney, especially if it's an injury case, first thing you should do is call an attorney. Actually, I take that back. The first thing you should do is go to the doctor. And maybe on the way to the doctor, call the attorney. But those are the two best things that you can do is seek legal representation and make sure you're getting better medically.
Joe, you told me that, again, I'm always listening, that it's not predetermined what the law enforcement people write up at the accident, that whether you in the fault or whether you are not at fault, that's a whole nother ball of wax. And it's just
Correct.
In the courts or in the case that gets unfolding in some kind of way. And let's say you have a death in the accident or whatever, and you say it determines that you're at fault. Does that mean the insurance company doesn't pay? Whatever.
Well, you're absolutely correct in that recollection of what we talked about. So after most motor vehicle collisions, law enforcement will create an accident report.
Right.
And if by chance the accident report indicates that this potential client is at fault, I tell him or her, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Why? Because an accident report is never admissible at trial.
Wow.
The 6 people sitting on the jury will never, ever see that accident report. And the reason for that is because if a police officer determines somebody to be at fault, there really is no need to go to trial. Because if you go to trial, if the jury hears that the police officer found John Smith at fault, the jury's going to probably follow suit. So that's why the 6 people sitting on the jury, they determine who's at fault, not an accident report.
Yeah, when you told me that that like floored me.
Yeah.
Joseph, do we find that most people think based on that what's written in the accident report that that's the end of all?
It goes further than that. Not only do most potential clients think that, but we've had clients tell us that they've reached out to previous firms who have looked at the accident report and say, based on the accident report, we're not going to take your case. And so it kind of goes back to what we've been saying, which is we look for a reason to help a client and to take a case. So there's times where we get an accident report and we see that the police officer might have said our client was at fault, but that's not a reason to not fight for that client. So we still will take on the client in many instances and fight to make sure that they get compensation because he or she's still been injured.
See, people, this is why you guys think that I'm so smart, but I'm not that smart. I just surround myself with smart people, and then I listen. I want to stay on this because this is so real world. Taking that a little farther, Attorney Joe, is right now, somebody said, okay, I was in an accident a year ago, and they wrote up that I was at fault. You know, my leg is messed up, my this and my that. They still can consider that case right now if it's a year old?
Absolutely.
Bringing it to you or who? and have you take a look at it?
Absolutely, but I say don't wait too long because
Okay.
under this new law we have in Florida, there is a 2-year statute of limitations.
Okay.
It used to be 4 years. So you don't have a lot of time to file these lawsuits. So if somebody, like you said, was in an accident a year ago, but they didn't pursue it because the police officer declared them to be at fault, I say go ahead and call us and let us get a lawsuit filed so that the statute of limitations does not bar or prevent that claim. And even if the client is partially at fault, that's okay because we have in Florida what's called comparative negligence. What that means is if the other party is more at fault, we can still recover for them. So if the other party is 60% at fault and our client's 40% at fault, we can still recover a percentage of the damages.
I see.
So all is not lost just because the police officer declares you to be either all at fault or partially at fault.
Attorney Joseph, the person who is at fault or not at fault, based on what we're saying, should not be considered when you are in an accident, right? You just need to report the case to the North Law Firm.
If you're injured, go ahead and report the case to the North Law Firm because that's what it's about at the end of the day, which is getting compensation for you because you've been injured in an accident. And then let us litigate on your behalf and show the insurance company why you weren't at all in fault, at all at fault, and why you weren't majority at fault.
I want to expand on this some more because I noticed the word insurance company keeps coming up. People need to understand, if you look at a person and say, oh, I know they don't have any money for me to sue them, it's not about them as an individual. It's about insurance companies. That's who you guys sue or make your claim against is the big insurance companies.
Right. If a client is hit by John Smith, although John Smith's name might be the defendant on the lawsuit, it's John Smith's car insurance company who will pay our client for everything he or she has been through.
Mm-hmm.
So the insurance company is essentially the entity
Mm-hmm.
that pays out these claims and pays the verdicts in these cases.
Mm-hmm.
And also along those lines, sometimes someone is hurt on a property, like an apartment complex.
Yes.
Either shot or stabbed or assaulted, and someone may believe, well, I can't sue the person who did this to me, but that's not what you have to worry about because we're suing the insurance company for the apartment complex.
Right.
And that's where the recovery is against the insurance company.
Right. So if you look at me and Lee doesn't have any money, don't worry about that.
But we know that Lee does have money.
All right. So that clears up a lot for me and for the people who understand that it's about the insurance company. Now, in the state of Florida, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody has to have some form of insurance on their car?
Yeah, it's called PIP, P-I-P, which is personal injury protection. Some people call it no-fault insurance.
Okay.
But what that does is it covers $10,000 of your own medical bills if you are in an accident, whether you're at fault or anyone else is at fault. And in Florida, everyone is required to carry that amount of insurance.
And you also recommend to people in general to have a higher deductible and have more insurance in general. Break that down for me.
I recommend that they carry what's called UM coverage, which is uninsured motorists or underinsured motorists. And what that means is if the person who hit you either doesn't have insurance or they don't have enough insurance, your own insurance would step into their shoes to pay the claim. And UM coverage doesn't cost a lot of money. So I recommend to everybody carry UM coverage on top of everything else you have.
So when I go back home right now, make sure I got UM coverage.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just look at my policy.
Yes,
or I
and if
make a phone call.
Look at your policy, and if it says that you have it, fine. If it says that you rejected it, call your agent and add it.
Expound on UM coverage. What's so great about it?
I can't overstate how important it is because God forbid anyone is in an accident. You don't want to have the feeling that you have to cross your fingers and hope who hit you has insurance. Because with UM, that alleviates that whole concern because you can rest assured that whether the person who hit me has insurance or not, I know my insurance company is going to take care of me for all the damages I've incurred. But without UM, you're just at the mercy of the insurance company, or maybe they don't have insurance for whoever hit you.
The insurance companies in general,
Okay.
and I'm going to move off insurance companies as we wrap this up. Are there fraudulent insurance companies out there that you might come across once you get into investigation, or pretty much all these insurance companies that are out there are reputable?
I would say 98% are reputable. there are a couple, and I won't name them, but there are a couple. When we see them on the case, we frown, and not just our firm, but any firm, because we know that there's going to be some shenanigans going on with providing benefits.
Really?
Yes, yes. There are a couple.
I know
of
you
them.
can't call any names, but are they national?
No, but throughout the state of Florida, and they're based out of Miami. I'll say that.
Let's go back to where we are today and sort of sum all of this up. When people call the North Law Firm, Joseph, what do you say makes you different? We see you on TV, we see you on billboards, we're so proud, we see you on buses and everything. The only black people that we see, lawyers, doing these types of things. You do such a terrific job. In fact, let's take a look at one of your commercials right now.
When I was in an accident, I called Joe, and he was right there for me through everything. At times, I could not bear the pain, but Joe was right there for me, and he's a good counselor, a good community person. When I had an accident, Joe was right there for me, and it was a bad accident, but he was right there all the way. If you call Joe, you'll see what I'm talking about.
In looking at that commercial, we can see you and your dad hugging and showing a great deal of appreciation for the client. Does it become personal in that way as well when you see them satisfied?
It's absolutely personal. And I think what makes us different is we truly try our best to empower our clients. We look at it as, we're representing you, to use a sports analogy, on and off the court. So we know we're representing you when we're in the courtroom and when you call us, but because it's a community firm, we represent them, everywhere we go. And that's the way we view it. And so we just really take pride in making sure that they know that they have the utmost and elite legal representation when they reach out to us.
Counselor, you want to add to also what you feel makes the North Law Firm different?
Yes, I would echo everything that Joseph just said, and I would add that, you see a lot of law firms advertising on TV and on the radio, but I would ask you.
But none of them got go, Joe, go, Joe.
Well, we have that too. We have the jingle, but I would also ask whoever's watching this interview, do you see any of those lawyers out in the community? Do you see them doing anything for you in the community? That's what makes us different. We are from the community and we're for the community, and it's always going to be that way.
How do you define your footprint, your territory, that you say, like, we're real passionate about this? We keep saying Dunbar, but does it expand out to Lehigh? Does it expand over to East Fort Myers? How do you, downtown Fort Myers?
Well,
Central?
you gave me a phrase a long time ago, briefcase will travel, and that's still true today, but our footprint is the Dunbar community.
Wow.
It always has been, it always will be.
The North Law Firm Stadium,
Yes, sir.
the Black History Museum,
Yes, sir.
Lee Pitts Live.
Yes, sir.
What else do we got? Big Lee Pitts Live Person of the Year.
Lee Pitts Live After Work.
Right, the honors that's coming up.
The Black History Month honors concert. Yeah.
Just the Dunbar High School reunion. I'm just kind of
Dunbar Easter Parade.
Dunbar Easter Parade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty clear where you laser focused, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, keep up the good work, gentlemen. It's an honor to come here. I think I'm going to make my pilgrimage here at least twice a year. How about that?
That sounds
I go
great.
nowhere with this TV show twice a year.
Well, we appreciate you bringing your show to us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Been a
Thank you.
pleasure. Let's bump you guys out. As the saying goes on this particular show, for those who say it can't be done, they're usually interrupted by those like the fine people here at the North Law Firm. And remember, Miami might have the oranges, but the North Law Firm has got the
Juice.
It's got the juice. We'll see you.
Lee Pitts Live is a Lee Pitts Enterprise production.